Okay, so let's just jump right in. We hear it all the time, right? That AI is this great equalizer, a tool that's going to level the playing field for everyone. But is that what's really happening? We're going to dig into a really fascinating case study that uses Wikipedia to ask a simple question. Does AI actually help democratize knowledge, or does it just end up making the powerful even more powerful?
And this is really the heart of the matter, isn't it? When we give everybody a powerful new technology, like, say, an advanced AI translation tool, does it actually bridge the gaps between different communities around the world? Or could it somehow make those gaps even wider? That's the paradox we're going to unpack today.
You see, the promise of AI, especially for a platform like Wikipedia, is just huge. I mean, just imagine it, breaking down every single language barrier, letting knowledge from one culture flow seamlessly into every other. That was the dream. That was the big idea when advanced machine translation was introduced. This whole debate really boils down to two big competing ideas. On one hand, you've got what's called technological optimism. This is the belief that new tech is great because it lowers barriers for everyone. But on the other hand, you have structural reproduction, which is the theory that says, not so fast. New tools usually just end up reinforcing the advantages that the big players already have.
Now, the main idea behind that optimistic view is this really cool concept called expertise unbundling. Think about it like this. Before AI, if you wanted to translate an article about, say, particle physics from English to Japanese, you had to be an expert in physics and fluent in both languages. What AI does is it unbundles those skills. It lets the physics expert share their knowledge without needing to be a language whiz. In theory, this should open the door for so many more people to contribute.
So the big question is, did it work? Well, at first, the evidence looked like an absolute slam dunk. The rollout of Google's neural machine translation on Wikipedia back in 2019, it seriously looked like a runaway success story for the optimists. Get this, after the AI tool went live, the number of translated articles created just exploded. We're talking a 139% increase. This wasn't just a little bump, it was a genuine productivity revolution. It basically squeezed decades of human translation work into just a couple of years. And this wasn't just about creating more pages for the sake of it. This surge in new content led to an estimated 12.3 million additional page views over 2 years. So this was real knowledge reaching real people, many of whom were in smaller language communities that now had access to information that just wasn't there for them before. And what's maybe even cooler is that people used this new efficiency with a real purpose. Editors weren't just translating random stuff. They were actively using the AI to fix known biases on the platform. For example, they translated biographies of women at twice the rate you'd normally expect, directly taking on Wikipedia's famous gender gap. It was a perfect example of humans using AI as a tool for good. So, case closed, right? The optimists were right all along. AI lowers barriers, it spreads knowledge, and it even helps us fix old societal biases. Well, not exactly. This is where the story takes a really interesting turn. Because when the researchers started to look past those big, flashy top-line numbers, they found a very, very different story was unfolding just beneath the surface. A story about who was actually reaping the rewards. And here's the catch. Despite that massive increase in articles overall, the benefits of this amazing new AI tool were not being shared equally across Wikipedia's hundreds of different language communities. Not even close. What the data shows is something called the Matthew effect, which is really just a fancy way of saying the rich get richer. The biggest, most well-resourced language Wikipedias, like French and Spanish, saw their productivity gains jump 3 to 4 times higher than the mid-sized communities. And the smallest communities? They barely saw any benefit at all. The powerful tool was making the powerful even more productive. And it didn't stop there. Instead of creating a more diverse ecosystem of knowledge, the AI actually made it more concentrated. Before the tool, about 68% of all translations came from the English Wikipedia. After the tool was introduced, that number jumped to 81%. The entire global knowledge-sharing system became even more dependent on a single source. So, how is this even possible? How can one tool create more knowledge for everyone and, at the exact same time, make the system more unequal? This is the AI Democratization Paradox. And the answer, it turns out, has less to do with the tech itself and more to do with the world it operates in. The key idea we need to understand is something called complementary resources.
Think of it this way. If you give everyone a Formula One car, that doesn't make everyone a world champion racer, right? You still need a skilled pit crew, a great racetrack, and a whole support system. For Wikipedia, those resources are things like having a big community of active editors, a huge library of existing articles to translate from, and a large built-in audience.
So here's how the paradox gets solved. Step 1, yes, the AI absolutely lowers the language barrier for every single person. That part's true. But, and this is crucial, you still need a bunch of human editors to check the AI's work, to fix its mistakes, to make it sound right. And on top of that, you need a giant library of high-quality articles to translate in the first place. These complementary resources, the people and the content, they are not spread out evenly. The big language communities have them in spades, and the smaller ones just don't. And that leads us to the core finding from the research paper, which just says it perfectly. Technological solutions alone cannot overcome structural inequalities. You can't just drop a powerful tool into an unequal system and expect it to magically create equality.
So, why does a study about Wikipedia volunteers matter to the rest of us? Well, because this story isn't really just about Wikipedia. It's basically a preview, a case study for how AI is probably going to affect almost every part of our lives, from school to work to our economies.
At the end of the day, what this all shows us is that just giving everyone access to the same piece of tech does not guarantee an equal outcome. The social structures that are already in place, who has the people, who has the resources, who has the training, that's what's going to determine who really benefits. So if we genuinely want AI to be a force for equality, we can't just hand out cool new tools. We have to actually invest in the communities themselves, building up their ability to use those tools effectively.
And that leaves us all with a pretty big question to chew on, doesn't it? As we keep rolling out these incredibly powerful AI systems into every corner of our society, if just giving everyone access to the tool isn't enough to create a fair and equitable world, then what is?